Well, I think that it was a monumental trip when Harry and Meghan went in 2018. And of course, Meghan announced her pregnancy when she was there. And that was, I think the Australians were very flattered by that. And she played her part. She played her part brilliantly. And they were young and fresh, and I think that they went when the late Queen looked at it, she thought, "My goodness, we really have got, you know, two young people here who are going to be so beneficial for the Commonwealth." But I think Meghan wasn't seeing it quite like that. I think she enjoyed the adulation, and she enjoyed playing the part of the princess as she saw it. But I also think it was a bit of a shock. She was being told what to do. She was being told where to go, and she was being told how to do it. And she wasn't taking a starring role in the actual whole sort of size of the monarchy, if you like. She was just a little pinpoint. I mean, at that moment in Australia, she was a starring role, but she wasn't really. She was just a cog in the wheel, and I don't think she liked that. So I think it was an eye opener for her that she was always just going to be the cog in the wheel because she was married to the number two man, not the number one man, which would have been William. And I think I agree with the royal commentators that that was definitely when the rot began to sort of fester a little bit. I personally don't think Charles will give a thought to Meghan and Harry's trip. He's been to Australia so many times. It is one of his favorite places in the world. And he's a very, very busy man. I think people don't really understand that he really has so little time to himself during the working day. He won't have the inclination all the time to think about Meghan and Harry. I think he will temporarily wash his hands of the whole thing. He won't, he's there as monarch, and he's there to do a job, and he will do it to the very best of his ability, which will be brilliant. And I don't think he'll think about any past trips, or I don't think he'll think about the when his younger son was there. He might think obviously about trips when his mother was there and his father, because people will probably mention that to him. But I don't think Meghan and Harry are going to play any kind of part in this at all. This is a very important trip for the king, because it's his first trip to Australia as monarch. And it's a place that he's always loved. He spent some time at school there during a break from Gordonstoun. He went to somewhere called Timbertops, and he really enjoyed it, and he's been going back to Australia many, many, many times since. And I think he just views it as a really wonderful young go-ahead country.
Royal expert Ingrid Seward has revealed her view on when things began to go wrong between Meghan Markle, Prince Harry, and the royal family. According to her, the turning point, the moment the rot set in, was during the couple's 2018 Australia tour. Publicly, the Australia tour appeared to be a triumph. Crowds gathered in huge numbers, and Meghan and Harry were met with widespread enthusiasm. But Seward says behind the smiles and glowing headlines, tensions were already starting to build.
And of course, he loves the fact that there's so much diversity there, and there's so many different types of things going on there. There's industry, there's nature, there's seascape. It's just a really beautiful place, and I think he really looks forward to going. The only downside is that it is very exhausting, leaving one place and literally flying, 11 hours to another, and you're in a completely different time zone. I think that's what's difficult. And as Charles, has his cancer problems, they have slightly altered this tour to make it sort of more user friendly for him, and also for the Queen. Charles is 76 in November. Camilla's 77. She'll be 78 next year. So it's not the easiest. So they're trying to make it as sort of friendly as possible, because Charles is really looking forward to this. I mean, Charles is the monarchy, and he has his late mother's sense of duty, and however he's feeling, which I think he's probably feeling fine, um, he's going to go ahead. But he knew, or at least Charles probably would have gone ahead and done everything and done, like an old-fashioned royal tour. But his doctor said absolutely not. You'll exhaust yourself. You've got to pace yourself. So that's why it's been cut back. And I think it is very important for him. And there's no point in him going there and sort of becoming exhausted. He's got to go there and do his bit and show the enthusiasm that he has for Australia. And most of the Australians have huge enthusiasm for him and for Queen Camilla. It's just that they're using this, some small sections of the Australian society are using this as a showcase for the Republican movement. And they always do this. It's just, I think they've got a bit more attention than usual this time. Well, for a start, Australia always approaches the Foreign Office and extends the invitation. So the invitation is by Australia. It's not Charles saying, "Oh, I think I'd like a bit of winter sunshine, and I'll go over there." So it is. They are the host country. They are hosting this trip, and obviously they don't want any embarrassment. And the fact that a few politicians, I think it's half a dozen politicians, have decided that they don't wish to meet the King and Queen, well, that's up to them. And I think it's extremely rude. But I mean, Charles is used to that kind of thing. I'm sure he doesn't enjoy it, but he's not going to make a fuss about it. And it's the important thing is it's not necessarily the left-wing politicians. It's actually the people, and the people of Australia. There's more support for the monarchy than there was where after the Queen died. There's much more now. So I think that there's a sort of swelling of interest in the new king, because they love Prince Charles.
The couple's newfound global star power was said to have unsettled parts of the royal household. Seward suggests that the success of the tour gave Harry and Meghan a new sense of independence from the rest of the family. This shift in dynamics may have contributed to feelings of isolation and an us versus them mentality within the monarchy. It was the moment, she argues, that the couple's relationship with the institution began to fracture. Following the Australia trip, reports of disagreements, private frustrations.
They loved him because he loved them, and it was a symbiotic relationship. So I think that it's really a political thing. And of course, politicians that want to make, a little mark, they always pick things like that because it's so high profile. So this won't surprise Charles at all. And he's always said, as you mentioned, he's always said, look, if Australians want to become a republic, that's up to them. But we love them as part of the Commonwealth. But if they decide that they don't want the crown as their head of state, then it's up to them. He said that for years. Australia is a huge country, and he's only going to Sydney and Canberra. And he's actually reviewing the fleet in Sydney, which I think will be a wonderful sight, and it'll be brilliant to be there. And Queen Camilla is doing some of her domestic violence. She's doing some of her literacy. So she's, meanwhile, that Charles will be concentrating on, the climate. He's also meeting with a cancer specialist, a professor, to discuss, some of the latest methods for cures of cancer. So it's been very carefully organized. And I think that the people will really enjoy meeting him, those that do get to meet him. And he's very user-friendly. He's incredibly tactile, which is something that surprised, I think, some people over here after the late Queen, who was never tactile. It just wasn't in her psyche. But Prince Charles, he reaches over the heads of the crowd to shake someone's hand. He hugs people. He lets people hug him. I think that he's going to really enjoy this, and I think it is significant, although he's only traveling to a very small part of Australia. What Queen Camilla thinks is she likes doing her own thing, but she feels her main job is to support the king in very much the same way that Prince Philip felt that his main job was actually to support the Queen. He liked going off and doing his own things with his own interests, but it was always the monarchy and the Queen that he supported. So he wanted to be at her side. And in the same way that Camilla does, I think Prince Philip used to make the late Queen laugh when she got tired, and and he used to say something funny. And I think Camilla does very much the same thing for Charles. So this support is a huge, huge benefit. And I think it's almost more benefit than all the other things she does. She'll bring great attention to the literacy problem, and she'll bring great attention to the sort of what I call it abused, but women. And I think that that's important. But the most important thing she's doing is basically looking after her husband.
And clashing priorities began to emerge. Seward believes this was the seed that grew into the full-blown royal split we see today, culminating in their departure from royal duties in 2020. By identifying the Australia tour as the starting point, Seward implies the divide didn't happen overnight. It was years in the making. From that trip onward, the couple's bond with the royal family would never truly recover, no matter how perfect the public image appeared at the time.